So he goes into Pharaoh, right? And he's telling him, like, hey, the God of the Israelites. First of all, let's talk about this. How they were like, oh, let us go worship in the wilderness. It's not like let us go forever. They they had to try to like soften him up, I think, a little bit. Like, oh, just let us go worship in the wilderness. Like, we'll be back. No, you know you're not gonna be back. You're not gonna be back. You're not coming back. No.
I God didn't tell him to go for 3 days.
God, let me tell you. Well, I don't know. I read a few commentaries on it because I was like, hold on now. Because if you look at movies, not even just Prince of Egypt, there's been many movies made about the Moses story.
Hmm.
And you hear that phrase, let my people
Yeah.
go. And that's it. Just let my
Hmm.
people go. We just want to get out of here. But no, they said, let my people go so they can go worship me in the wilderness for like what is it, for 3 days, right?
For 3 days.
But to me, that implies that we're coming back. But no,
Right.
God's plan was never for them to go back. So I'm confused because I feel like what they were saying was it was like this is like their first offer, like kind of soften him up. Like let's just see what he says about about this. But we know that God's plan was never for them to go back. He don't want them to just leave to worship him in the wilderness for 3 days. I don't think so. There's why? Why would he just say worship me in the wilderness for 3 days and then go back to slavery?
Yeah.
I think he knew in the
I don't
end.
know if God's plan was ever for them to go back. I think that there was a I can't even say like a different turn of events, but it's like if they were allowed to go for the 3 days, um then Egypt may not have had to be judged.
Right. Yeah, he
And
knew that
so
he
like
wasn't
they
gonna
would
let
just
them
keep
go.
going.
Yeah, he knew that he wasn't gonna let them go. Um, God, we're gonna get to like the hardening of hearts thing because I remember when I first read this, I asked my mom, I was like, why would God harden Pharaoh's heart? Like, I don't get it. Like, but I read more this time about that. And so I'm going to get to that. But I want to say something real quick. How, when they first went to Pharaoh, Pharaoh is like, I don't know who this God you're speaking of. Like, what
Right.
God? Like, he's like, he knew many gods. In Egypt, they had at least 10, 15
Mhm.
gods. He's like, this guy you talking about, I am, don't know him. And Pharaoh honestly thinks of himself as a god.
Mhm.
Pharaoh, the title of Pharaoh, they're like above humans. It doesn't even say they're demigods. They are like they are God as well.
Mhm.
So in his mind, he's like, I'm a god too, and I say no.
Right.
Like, because at this point, he's not seeing the power of God. But let's go into the hardening of the hearts because I could be there for a second. Um, the first few times, Pharaoh hardens his own heart. Now, God allows him to harden his heart because he's really giving Pharaoh up to his his sin, basically. He's
Mm.
just like,
Mhm.
go ahead. He's because at the end of all this is showing God's glory. God had to show himself. And
Yeah.
he couldn't like just is it justly, righteously? He couldn't righteously just like judge them if Pharaoh had said, okay, go. And then God came down with the rain of terror.
Right. Right.
That's not how God is. He's gonna give you a few times. Okay, I'm gonna ask you a few times. I know you're gonna say no. I'm gonna allow you to say no, but you know then I forgot when, but like a few times later God actually hardens Pharaoh's heart himself.
Mhm.
Let me see if I have my notes on that, because you would think, but I think the notes are basically, so it's like, so God, he was using Pharaoh for his glory. So when I was reading it and I was thinking about like people who are unbelievers today,
Mhm.
right? Sometimes I have seen in my own life people I know who are like they hate God so much, and some of the things that they do, I mean, just because I can see God in everything,
Mhm.
I see God being glorified in their actions. Even though they
Yeah.
don't want it to happen,
Right.
they don't understand that they are still bringing God glory, which I mean, they would hate if they knew it, but I
Yeah.
know it and I smile secretly because it's funny. So that's what I thought about when I read this. It's like God is he may let those people be hard for a second in order to let his plan play out, or in order to bring glory and like attention, not attention, but like so he can show like who he really
Mhm.
is to people. Because
Mhm.
Egypt, let me tell you, after all this happened, they knew who God was after
Oh
that.
yeah.
They knew for sure. They knew for sure. We're going to get into also how Egypt should have known after God came through with all these plagues that their gods were nothing. Their
Right.
gods did not
Yeah.
come to rescue them, not one time, not once.
Mm-mm.
They were defeated.
Yeah.
Now, I do have a question for you. And this could be, I never know this answer because when I first started reading the Bible, sometimes I used to get um, this idea that God is the true and living God, right? He's the creator of
Mhm.
all. But are these other gods, these gods that people um, worship, are they literally just fake, like they're not there, or are they like demons or like evil spirits or other beings in the spiritual realm?
So I think that okay. Um mm, how can I say this? So I think that the other gods were like they had the power that was prescribed to them. Because they weren't real. Like they were objects that
Mm-hmm.
were being worshipped, right? Um or like entities like a river or whatever.
Right.
But because we live in a world that um has the prince of the air, the
Mm-hmm.
same way as we, I guess now as Christians shouldn't really subscribe to the um what's it called, the manifestation stuff, or the
Mm-hmm.
manifesting stuff, um because life and death are in the power of the tongue. That's not just for the believers. And so it's like when you're giving something power, there is a power behind it.
Mm-hmm.
You just
Mm-hmm.
don't know what power that is.
Oh yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so like if you're manifesting things and you're receiving them, think twice before you say they're God.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you're manifesting, I'm not saying faith. If you are a believer and you are walking by faith and you know what faith looks like, we don't have time to go into what that looks like, but if you know what faith looks like and you are walking by faith based on what God has told you is yours, that's key. Then what you get is from God. But if you're sitting there saying, "Oh, I'm going to be a millionaire," if God doesn't want you to be a millionaire and you become a millionaire, you need to,
Yeah.
like, the fact that you have manifested that, something
Mm-hmm.
has manifested that for you. It doesn't just come out of thin air.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But you got to be careful though, because it's like you letting certain doors open and in, and
Mhm.
because I do want to do a video one day on, because I have to do my research though, but I always wanted to do a thing of manifestation versus prayer. And
Mhm.
is manifestation, can you do both? And if is manifestation where you like, because I don't manifest because I don't know anything about it and I don't play like that. But I look, when people do manifest, I look to see if they include God in it or they don't. So if you have like or like people's affirmations, right? I don't
Mhm.
even like affirmations that don't include God in them. You know what I mean? So I don't know how you manifest without God. I don't even know how
Cuz the
you
thing is
manifest.
like
I don't know how you
who
manifest
who do
though, I
you
guess.
believe is manifesting that thing? That's really what it
Yeah.
comes down to. Because if you're believing that what you're saying every single day, this mantra that you're saying is manifesting whatever you're going to, do, even if it
Mhm.
has God in it, is not
Yeah.
God at all.
And it's like if you're doing this mantra every day, it's almost like a spell. And it's not, and that's not good. We
Exactly.
can't be casting spells and
Nope.
chanting and doing incantations and all that stuff. Wow. Yeah, I really thought about that. I was like, okay, what if these gods that they have are like evil spirits, or like you know how some of the statues they have like the face of a falcon, or like the like a body. And you
Mhm.
know how in Genesis there were like, and these I mean, the earth was destroyed after this, but you know how they have like the what is that called? Like the Nephilim, like the
Mhm.
the product of the angels and the humans.
Mhm.
And one time I heard this theory about how like, you know, these creatures that you think are just weird, or Greek mythology, like these are creatures that were created from these things that were not supposed to procreate. I don't know
Mm.
how true that is, but it's an interesting theory. And it's interesting that possibly pagan cultures or other cultures were now worshiping these things
Mhm.
that were not God, but they had some kind of supernatural something in them.
Yeah.
I mean, because, you know, there's this whole spiritual realm that I don't really understand that much. I have some books on them I haven't read yet, but I mean, I don't know how anybody could really know. But I feel like it's not just, I feel like there's something there, right? I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's just, it's kind of a hard topic, but I'll leave that topic for another day.